graduated magna cum laude 3 years later with a bachelor's degree in Middle Eastern languages and literature. He attended graduate school in philosophy at Princeton University, right here in New Jersey, and he earned a PhD. He's a doctor for real. He didn't just know that. He wrote and co-authored numerous books on philosophy, race, and sociology. His book, His Race Matters, won Critics' Choice Award and was listed as the New York Times. He has been deemed one of America's most provocative public intellectuals and has been a champion for racial justice since childhood. His writing, speaking, and teaching weave together the traditions of the Black Baptist Church, progressive politics, and jazz. The New York Times has praised his ferocious and moral vision. Dr. Cornel West has been a frequent guest lecturer at university campuses nationwide. And tonight, we have the esteemed pleasure of having him here at the Dr. Martin Luther King School in Passaic, New Jersey. Please.
Each and every one of you for coming out tonight. I know that it's a cold night in the middle of the week.
Warm in here.
But it's warm in here. There is a sweet spirit in this place. And it has so much to do with my dear brother, Jeffrey Dye. Give him a hand. Give him a hand. I want you to come to Passaic. I said, oh Lord, I've been booked for 11 months. Then I called him on the telephone and there was something about his spirit. Something about his determination. I said, so I'm going to make sure that I get a chance to come. And I'm so very blessed to be here.
Yes, sir.
Indeed, indeed. I want to salute my dear brother, Reverend Kenneth Clayton, for those magnificent words on behalf of the church. On behalf of the church. Baptist Church. I see my AME brother here, one of the great leaders, Brother Schrader. But give him a hand, give him a hand. Very important to acknowledge all of our various institutions. I happen to be a Jesus-loving free black man. I can conceive of myself without Shiloh Baptist Church, and Reverend Willard P. Cook, and Deacon Hinton, and Sarah Ray, my Sunday school and vacation Bible school teacher. So I acknowledge them, they're all up in me, but I also salute my Muslim brothers and sisters. We can't conceive of black history without Malcolm X. We got some black Jewish brothers and sisters in the synagogue. We salute them as well. We got black Buddhists like the great Bell Hook, one of the great women of letters. We salute that tradition as well. And even in black history, we salute our black atheists and our black agnostics, because sometimes they understand justice better than folk who've been washed in the blood. But we have to be honest and clear of from whence we come.
Yes, sir.
From whence we come. And what can I say about my dear brother Larry Ham? He's a visionary. He's a long-distance runner professor. He's a freedom fighter. And I love it and I respect it. Black man in America still in my right mind most days. That's an achievement. But what I love about this brother is that he decided a long time ago, like myself, that he was going to be faithful unto death. To the struggle for freedom. That he was going to love black people. Even if black people didn't fully understand him. Sometimes you got to love folk not because you want them to love you back. You love them because they're worthy of being loved. You tell them the truth. You struggle, you sacrifice, you serve. That's the kind of human being you choose to do. That's what we're talking about with Brother Larry Hammond. And I want to also acknowledge my dear sister, Tamisha Smith. I thank Reverend Tiffany McCutcheon for singing that song. Oh, she sang that song. You went up on that high note. I've never heard that note. And the Negro National Anthem made it fit just right because it came from your heart, your soul, and your spirit. And last but not least, I want to salute the musicians. I don't know about you, but for me, music is in no way ornamental or decorative. It is constitutive of who I am. It's integral to who I am. I would have snapped long time ago if it wasn't for Luther. Learning how to lift your voice. There was a time in this country where all black people had were our voices. We had no control of land or territory, no rights or liberties whatsoever, no control over our bodies. Our bodies were economically exploited, our women were economically exploited and systematically raped and violated. The only thing we had were our voices, and we would steal away at night to worship God in a nation that didn't allow black people to worship without white supervision, but viewing itself as the exemplar of religious liberty. Stole away at night and hold hands, then a really shout. And somebody said, lift the voice, Brother Johnson. He sings, so lift your voice, Sister Lily Mae. All we got is your voice to articulate the dreams of emancipation, articulate the visions of freedom. Maybe somewhere down the line, our courage manifested, our voices will be manifest in a people who come together for say 2011 and remember us. Never forget us. Never overlook where we came from. And that's why for me the fundamental question of black history is always the fundamental question for any human being. I don't care what color, what culture, or civilization. And that is, what does it mean to be human? And what kind of human being are you going to be in your life? You know, I use this word human comes from the Latin word humano. And humano means burying. That's where the word humanity comes from. That's where the word humility comes from. Down to earth, unpretentious, tied to the soil and the dust and the earth. The question that black folk been raised in ever since the first Africans stepped off that slave ship, 52,400 slave ships between the 15th and the 19th century. The millions of bodies of precious Africans right now at the bottom of the Atlantic Ocean. Those who didn't make it will never forget them. Stepped off the ship they were in, shackled, led to the slave auction. And they raising the question in the face of the world when a white supremacy called America, how will I preserve favor, my humanity, my integrity, my dignity, and my magnanimity in the face of this sickness, this institutionalized pathology called slavery. And the question is, what does it mean to be human? What does it mean to be a featherless, two-legged, linguistically conscious creature born between urine and feces? That's who we are. I know I am who I am because somebody loved me. Somebody cared for me. Somebody attended for me. Somebody targeted me. And I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for the love push of my mama that got me out. That's where we all come from. Our mama's womb. One day our bodies will be the culinary delight of terrestrial world. Bless your house for cremation. And the question is, who you going to be in the meantime? Between womb and tomb. What kind of human being are you going to be between womb and tomb? A lot of people ask me why I spend so much time with the funk masters. George Clinton, who I refuse to go on television with. We go together. We had the Monique show, we had the Craig Ferguson show. Just finished an album with Bootsy Collins, another genius. Inconceivable without James Brown and Sly Stone and other funk masters. You see, when you're talking about black history, you're talking about the funk. We all emerge in the funk. Mama's womb. Blood, stinking skin. There's love, there's freedom, and there's sublimity in that funk. And when you talk about black history, you're talking about the funk of American history, because so much of American history is sanitized, sterilized, and deodorized. You want to hide and conceal the funk. You want to hide and conceal the truth. And black history is about the quest for unarmed truth, but the condition of truth is to allow suffering to speak, which means you got to attend to the funk.
Yeah.
Come on, brother. Look at the U.S. Constitution. There's no reference to the institution of slavery that Brother Ham was talking about. Now, how you going to have a U.S. Constitution? 22% of the inhabitants of the 13 colonies are not just African slaves, but they are laborers who are generating a wealth that is a precondition for your democracy, and you make no reference to the institution that holds them. That's a deodorized document. You're trying to hide the funk. You're going to end up fighting a civil war over an institution not invoked in your Constitution. That's hypocrisy, mendacity. That chicken's coming home to roost. That's losing what you serve. Listen, the world's going to come on in the rinse. Sooner or later, truth crushed the earth shall rise again. No lie lives forever. That's like it. But that has to do with people choosing to be courageous human beings. Service-oriented human beings, and finding joy in serving. That's the only reason why we're here. If we didn't have 4 mothers and 4 fathers, we need more ancestor appreciation. 4 mothers and 4 fathers who loved enough, willing to serve enough in their quest for truth, allowing the suffering to speak, and authorizing reality in such a way that was always over against the mendacity and lies of the mainstream. Because to the degree to which folk began to believe that the mendacity is reality, you on your way to pathology. In pathology, what I mean is not just dysfunctional behavior, but I mean accepting the lie that you're less beautiful, less intelligent, less moral. We still need a lot of work in 2011 on that. Still need a lot of work. But there's a connection between the quest for unarmed truth, and the quest for unapologetic love. Genius from St. Louis named Donny Hathaway, another genius from Washington, D.C., named Roberta Flack, to raise the question in the early 70s, where he is. The love. Love is no plaything. For Black history, justice is what love looks like in public. Because when you love folks, you can't stand the fact that they're being treated unjustly.
That's right.
You can't stand the fact that they're being treated unfairly. You got to do something about it. Justice is not some abstract notion. It's a fire that you feel inside of your bones. And if you don't do something, the rocks are going to cry out.
All right.
There was another genius named Otis Redding who sang a song called Try a Little Tenderness.
Oh, yeah.
Tenderness is what love feels like in private. And we need to be militants for tenderness. Hear the young folk these days over and over again, say my name, say my name, say my name. Now, slow down. You need to talk about some tenderness and kindness and sweetness and gentleness. It is fundamental for people who have been wounded and scarred and bruised. It's fundamental for people who have been taught to hate themselves and often view themselves as not worthy of being loved or sacrificed for. Huey Newton experienced when he walked behind the police, trying to police the police put the gun to his head and said, "We will shoot you." He said, "Shoot, I love the people." And black folk looked at him and said, "This Negro's crazy." Loves us that much that he would die for us. Martin the same way. Malcolm the same way. Daddy Lou the same way. Henry Douglas the same way. Harriet Tubman, you going back 19 times? Maybe one to pray for. No, I'm going back 18 more times. How come? Because I love her. That's what love is. 2011, we've got a love deficit, a courage deficit, leads to a democracy deficit. And when you have a democracy deficit, you get oligarchy and plutocracy. The oligarchs on Wall Street, stealing, looting billions of dollars. And yet when they get in trouble, they go straight to the government and get welfare. $1.2 trillion of welfare. Poor folk have very little, cut off welfare in 1996. You're on your own.
That's right. That's right. That's right.
Double standard. Hypocrisy. Why? Courage deficit. Love deficit. Look at the new Jim Crow, the new slavery that Michelle Alexander talks about. The book you want to read.
Yes.
Sister Michelle Alexander, she's going to be a princess. She and I are going to have a wonderful dialogue. I think it's March the 8th, I think. Each one of you all are welcome. Be my special guest. Show up at Christmas. Say, Brother West told me to come. Let me in no matter what. That's right. Don't put your hand there. I'm saying that's right. But our young people, what? They're not loved enough. They're not cared for enough. They're left dangling. They're rootless. We're not keeping track of them. You ask young folk these days, who's your role model? Oprah Winfrey. No, she's not your role model. She don't know you. You need a role model you can touch. You need a role model you can talk to. You need a role model you can share. But it's this culture, superficial spectacle of all the folk on television projecting themselves distant from what's going on the ground. Now, I'm not saying that she's not an inspiration. She is. She's an entrepreneurial genius. There's no doubt about that. Sometimes I wish and pray she had more political courage. We got work to do. All of us got work to do. Lil Wayne got work to do. There's the genius. Makes a song about Katrina. He's strong. Lollipop. I'm out of that. That's that superficial stuff, living on the surface, titillation and stimulation. I come from a tradition of the soul stirrers, of Sam Cooke and Lou Rawls they stir your soul so that you're able to become more courageous than you conceive of being. Because like I said, Kofa Bird, it allows you to look back and be connected to the best of those that came before as you move forward. And that's what we need among our younger generation. Egypt is an inspiration.
Yes, sir.
What we haven't acknowledged enough is in that Liberation Square, there were 200,000 copies in Arabic of the Montgomery story. So that Egypt itself connects to the best of black history, of the black freedom struggle in the face of American terrorism called Jim Crow and James Crow. Northern Africa now leading the way in the way in which Southern Africa led the way in the early 1990s with Nelson Mandela, who was viewed as a U.S. terrorist by the U.S. government.
That's right.
Africa now beginning to straighten its backs up, and what his brother Martin used to say, anytime, everyday people in the language of Sly Stone, anytime ordinary people in the language of James Cleveland straighten their backs up, they're going somewhere, because folk can't ride your back unless it's there. Elite start shaking, oligarchs start shaking, plutocrats start shaking. So, oh, we have been bombarding these people with weapons of mass distraction. Just keep them pacified like the company that we're talking about. Ooh, if we could just keep poor working people, especially black and brown poor working people, sleepwalking. Just let them slumber. They don't like folk to come along and wake them up. No, you wake them up too much, you get shot, and that's part of our problem. One of the reasons why our black leaders these days oftentimes are so milquetoast and spineless is that they don't have a spiritual steel backbone because they're afraid to die. They don't want to get killed. If you go back in black history, if no one had died for us, we'd still be in slavery. If no one had died for us, we'd still be in Jericho, still be in slavery. You see, you want to have their spirit together, their love together, and make sure their life is together. So when you leave a legacy, folks will say, who else is going to pick up the man? I'm not saying everybody got to die. I'm talking about a slice of ex-Negro. A post-Negro for black African, whatever they want to call it. But that's a fundamental difference. In the 1960s, what we understood was, you ask the younger generation, who will die for you? There was a long list. Huey, Bobby, Angela, Malcolm, Martin, Curtis Mayfield would die for you. The last poet would die for you. Gil Scott-Heron would die for you. Nina Simone would die for you. You got young folk these days, who will die for you? Mama. Who else? Tupac, no, he got shot, he didn't die. Lyrical genius, he got shot. Biggie, no, he got shot. Lyrical genius, he didn't die for you. Who will die for you? It's a different moment. The mentality of a neighborhood versus the mentality of a hood. I grew up in a chocolate neighborhood. Beautiful Negroes everywhere. I didn't have to have mom and dad there because Miss Burton and Mr. Ray kept track of me. There was love flowing all the time. It was perfect. It was simple, but that's all right. We got a sense of we in our consciousness. So even when we would go to Princeton, they would steal away and say, you know, Princeton has ruined more Negroes than bad whiskey. Which meant that we had to cut against the grain. Which meant that we had to say, you know what? No matter what we do when we go through Princeton or Harvard or Yale or Rutgers or whatever, we're not going to come out well-adjusted to injustice. We're going to come out mal-adjusted to injustice. We're not going to come out well-adapted to indifference. We're going to come out maladjusted to indifference. We're going to come out cutting against the grain.
All right.
Why? Because in the 60s and 70s, it was clear that you had folk who would not sell themselves for the highest things that I should do. Stand. There's a midget standing tall and the giant beside him about to fall. Stand, they've been sitting much too long. There's a permanent crease in your right and wrong. That's Sylvester Stewart. That's Sly Stone in 1970. 41 years later, now it comes back. Yes, and it's time for us to more protractedly, more collectively take a stand. This is the moment. This is why Black history is so very important like this. Not just for the nation, not just for black people, but for the world.
That's right.
Black people have taught the world great vision and great lessons. Look at 9/11. First time in the history of the nation, all Americans feel unsafe, unprotected, subject to random violence, and hated for who they are. Because to be black in America for 400 years, unsafe, unprotected, subject to random violence, hated for who you are. There ain't nothing new. We don't hate us for terrorism. People don't listen to time for terrorism. What do you think 244 years of slavery was? What do you think 90 years of Jim and James Crow everything was to have? For 45 years, there was some man or woman or child swinging from some tree that southern fruit, southern trees bear at the tree. Billie Holiday say about it. Our Jewish brother Maripol writing the lyrics. What do we do in the face of terrorism? Frederick Douglass, what you got to say about American terrorism? You want to terrorize others? No, I want freedom for everybody. I.B. Wells Barnett. What are you going to say in the face of Jim and James Crow American terrorism? You want a Jim Crow white brother? No, I want rights and liberty for everybody. But what does America do when they get terrorized? We're going to run down like cockroaches. Who do you think they are? We'll crush them in a second. We still dropping drones this very moment in Pakistan, killing innocent people, saying we after the $500 billion trying to find Bin Laden. We're going to wipe out poverty 50 times in America. Black people, after 400 years of terrorism, decided not to create a blackout camp. Could have. Oh yeah, when they were killed from the step to the left turn in Chicago, the only baby murdered by cowardly white supremacists, cowardly American terrorists. Gut bucket Jim Crow, Mississippi, dropped the body in Tallahatchie River, brought the body back to Chicago, Robert's Temple Church of God in Christ. 50,000 people marched through that church. She kept the casket open, didn't she? She kept it open. Everybody told her to keep it open. She said, oh, this is my only baby. I want the world to see the underside, the folk of America. So keep it open. And that was the first massive civil rights demonstration. 3 months before the great Rosa Parks that our dear brother was talking about. Sat out on the bus in order to stand up for justice. And what did she say when she stepped to the left turn? Words for the ages. Tears flowing from her face and her eyes. Looked at her baby's head was 5 times the size of his ordinary head. She cried out. She said, I don't have a minute to hate. I will pursue justice for the rest of my life. She knew the difference between justice and revenge. She said, I'd rather be defeated for the moment with my integrity and dignity than win and be a gangster and a thug like the folk who have been treated and victimized and murdered and killed my baby. That's what history is about. Black people have responded to American terrorism of slavery and American terrorism of Jim Crow in the way America responded to 9/11. There's been a civil war in America every generation. Every generation, there'd be terrorist cells everywhere. America called it the crypto factory. tell my beloved white brothers and sisters, I say when you see black folks, just give them a standing ovation. It didn't have to be that way. They didn't have to talk about love and justice. They could have talked about hating everybody, killing everybody. They could have engaged in collective punishment the way they do in the Middle East. Somebody kill the whole family. That's sick. That's pathological. But it's revenge. It's not justice. Black folk produce leaders that talk about love and justice and fairness. A high level of spiritual and moral achievement. So even as so many of us are broke as the Ten Commandments financially, we don't need to be broke as the Ten Commandments spiritually and morally. Part of the challenge these days of our younger generation is dealing with the spiritual malnutrition. They're so hungry, they're so thirsty, but all they get is titillation and stimulation. They feel down and out, go to the mall and consume, turn on the TV and watch moving images and sound, zombie-like situations. And there's a connection between spiritual malnutrition and moral constipation. When you know what's right and good, it gets stuck in you. Can't get it out. Like so many investment bankers, they know that they're involved in gangster activity. It's called greed. It's called avarice. They know what's right, it's just stuck and they can't get it out because the greed blocks any flow of the good and the right. So they're indifferent to working people, indifferent to poor people. Indifference is the one trait that makes the very angels weep. Indifference is the essence of inhumanity. And black folk have been dealing with the indifference of so many folk vis-a-vis our plight and our predicament. How do we keep the tradition alive? That is the question in the year 2011. That's why I love the People's Organization for Progress. If there is no struggle, there is no progress. If there is no love, there is no progress. If there is no willingness to pay a cost, there is no progress.
Yes, sir.
If all black folk decide that they no longer want to be free, they just want to be comfortable, then the struggle is over.
That's right.
Stanley Williams died in vain. Martin King died in vain.
That's right.
That's what the challenge is today.
Yes.
I go into the studios with my hip-hop artists over and over again, and I tell them up front, I'm old school, I'm Motown, I'm Stax, I'm Philly sound. No doubt about that. They said, oh, Brother West, we're glad to have you here, but I know you got something to say from the old school. I said, that's right. That's right. I said, when you're talking about Curtis Mayfield,
Yes, sir.
when you're talking about Gladys Knight, talking about originals, I look at this precious younger generation, I see too many copies. You talk about the great artist, Sarah Vaughan, Janet Coltrane again, talking about those who found they would find their voice. I look at too many young folk, loving to death, see too many echoes. Don't confuse your voice with an echo. Don't be a copy when the best of what made you were original. Don't be an imitation. You can be a creation of something new. Oh, everybody else, I want to be a star. I want to be a star. The culture's celebrity just penetrates every nook and cranny of the whole society. Somewhere I heard Sly Stone say everybody is a star. The moment you came out of your mama's womb, there will never be anybody like you as a president. You are unique, you are distinctive, you are irreproducible. You have to find your voice, just like your fingerprint on your throat when your voice is articulate expectations, then all we have is a sleepwalking, and then the powers that be sit back and watch us go at each other's throats, disrespecting each other, demeaning each other, devaluing each other, distrusting each other, unable to create the bonds of trust, which is the precondition for unity. And by unity, I don't mean unanimity. It's impossible for families to reach unanimity. How in the world are whole people going to reach unanimity? But we talk about unity. You got a strong family the way I do with Cliff and Irene Webb. We might have some disagreements inside of the crib. But we got to unite it from it. Oh, we got to unite it from it. Don't you say a word about my mama. Don't say nothing about my father. My sister may not be on the back down all the time, but you say something about it. I better hear some loud in that way. That's right. That's the kind of unity. But that's not unanimity. Well, so it ought to be. And not just with black folk, it ought to start on the chocolate side of town. There's nothing wrong with loving black folk and loving black folk first. Right. Nothing wrong with it. Love starts at home, it starts in the family. I see white brothers and sisters saying, oh, I love black folk and can't stand white folk. I know something wrong with it. And there's a whole lot of black folk who love everybody but black people. And Jamal, and you look like somebody less than you. That's sick and pathological. The best of black history is the love starts on the chocolate side of town and we have spillover love. Yes, it gets to vanilla suburbs. Yes, it gets to red reservations. Let us never forget our indigenous brothers and sisters. It gets to the Asian part of town. It gets to the brown barrios too. We've always been a people who began with R-O-O-T-S, our roots, and then catapult us with our R-O-U-T-E-S, the routes that we take. International people, cosmopolitan people, embracing people across all kinds of racial, national, gender boundaries, but it's because of the strength that we got in our roots. That's what black history is all about. And do we have what it takes? All I know is I had decided a long time ago. Come on. That I'm going down swing. Yeah. Oh, I'm going down swing. Like Brother Fitzgerald, Muhammad Ali, I'm going to be straight. That's why I call myself a blues man in the life of the mind and the jazz man in the world of ideas. But when you're a blues man and a blues woman, once you find your voice and you have your calling, not just a career, you have your vocation, not just a profession, you have a life task, not just a job, then you know where you're going, you got purpose, you want to keep on moving. Blues ain't nothing but an autobiographical chronicle of a personal catastrophe expressed lyrically. That's what Ralph Ellison said, the great novelist. Say, what you mean, catastrophe expressed lyrically? Yeah. B.B. King said, nobody loves me but my mama. She might be jiving too. That's the blues. That's the B-side of the Thriller's gone. What are you going to do in the face of catastrophe? Right. It could be institutional, structural catastrophe. Like wealth inequality. Housing policies that lead to dilapidated houses and hoods, a disgraceful school system, and depression-like levels of unemployment and underemployment. Or it could be personal catastrophe. Your mama died. What you gonna do? How you gonna respond? How will her afterlife be at work in your life? So that she will smile at you from the grave in light of the kind of human being you have chosen to be. And we're not talking about perfection, we're talking about integrity. We're not talking about purity, we're talking about the best that you can be in light of what they gave you. That's the connection we need with our young folk. And once we have that, we have our own Egypt. Egypt led by young people. I was just in Egypt 2 years ago. I called Brother Mubarak a contemporary pharaoh. I was lucky to get out. I said there's a direct connection to the contemporary pharaoh in Egypt and the pharaoh in the White House. And at that time it was George Bush. And now Obama's in there. It's hard to be free in the Oval Office, isn't it? Like asking Sam Cooke to sing in a Baroque choir. He's too free. The Oval Office becomes like a golden cage, a sunlit prison. All the forces coming at you. You're running an empire. You got 801 military branches around the world. You got a ship in every ocean. You got a military budget of $865 billion, more than all the other nations in the world combined. China second, got $65 billion military, $65 billion for the military. We got 875. We already spent $1 trillion in Iraq. Got an education program of $4 billion, race to the top, as if education is a race rather than a right. $4 billion for the whole program, for $30 billion in 3 weeks in Afghanistan. That's one priority. The situation of young people in America is a matter of national security. More so than Afghanistan. Have you seen the souls of our young people? I'm not just talking about the poverty. I'm talking about their mind, their soul. It's too barren. They don't deserve this. But no serious talk about it. Last State of the Union, no reference to poverty. The first time a president didn't refer to poverty since 1948. I said, Brother Barack, we worked so hard to get you in there. Oh, we worked hard. I did 5 events for that brother from Iowa. I wasn't wearing a coat in those days. I'm out there with no coat, minus 15 degrees for him. Could have called pneumonia. That's what the Holy Ghost said. He ended in Ohio. To do what? To bring the age of Reagan to a close, to breed running amok at the top, the indifference of foreign working people, and the politics of fear to polarize the society. And Brother Barack had the right language. He said, instead of greed, we want fairness. That's right. It connects with the Black freedom movement. Instead of indifference, we want compassion. That's right. John Coltrane loves the group. That's Marvin Gaye, what's going on. That's Toni Morrison's Be Loving. That's Stevie Wonder's Love and Need Love. You're connected to the tradition. Instead of fear, we wanted hope. 2 years later, where do we stand? Where do we stand? I love Brother Barack Obama.
Tell the truth.
Which means that I will protect him against the right-wing lies. Fox News and others lying on, we got to protect him. Being attacked and assaulted in ways that are unjustified. We got to respect it as a brother, as a human being, and as president. But we also have to correct him. We have to correct him. Be in there, but black folks have to give 96% of the vote. The unemployment rate higher than ever. Our young people going to jail quicker than ever. Education worse than ever. And he said what? Well, I can't be president of black people. I can only be president of the country. You didn't sound that way when you spoke in front of the Chamber of Commerce the other day. You were deferential. You said you wish you brought a cake. You said, I'm going to make it back to you. I said, well, what about tomorrow as a teacher? They deserve the same kind of respect and investment banks get. Banks are too big to fail. Does that mean black folk too little to rescue? What are you talking about? You got a tradition behind you. You got Martin King in the Oval Office looking at you every day. He shot down like a dog, organizing sanitation workers in Memphis, Tennessee, and in solidarity with babies in Vietnam, understanding the connection between all that money spent in foreign policy and having becomes cathartic. Oh, I'm just so glad a black man's in the White House. Yeah, I'm glad he's in there too. Depending on who else to be in there. But I want to know what he's doing. Are you taking a stand? Well, it's a complicated situation, Brother West. You need to know that the forces, I know what's coming at you. They got 36,000 lobbyists coming from all street in corporate America every day. Where's the lobbyists for poor people? Here come the People's Organization for Progress. You don't have enough pressure being brought to bear. So Brother West is saying all these critical things about the brother. All black people need to come together under all circumstances. Really?
Yes, sir. That's right.
All of us are cracked vessels. Just trying to love our crooked neighbor with our crooked hearts. And all of us need protection. We need deep respect, and we need correction. You all see me out on the corner on Friday night, doing something I ought not do. Having a good time. In love, correct me. We see Barack Obama, if we see a mayor, if we see a governor, whatever color, leaning toward the strong rather than the weak, leaning toward the wealthy and the rich rather than poor and working class, they need correction. And you correct them by organizing, mobilizing, expressing your vision, and then they have to take a stand. I was in Chicago for a whole week with my dear brother Rhinefest, running for Alderman. You all know Rhinefest?
Yeah.
Wrote Jesus Walks with Kanye West. Lupe Fiasco, all the folk there. And there's Rahm Emanuel. White House says, will make a terrific man. Rahm Emanuel is the exemplar of cynicism, opportunism, arrogance, condescension, and was the chief of staff for the president. As uncivil as you can conceive of, cuss out the black congressional caucus. That's why none of them have nothing to do with him. Profanity flowing every minute. Now, I'm not a Puritan about this, but I don't like profanity. But if you can do it the way Richard Pryor does, that's all right. Keep it on the beat if you don't do it. But the point is, it's incivility, lack of civility. And then our dear president talked about we need an era of civility. Yeah. Start with your own chief of staff. This is the kind of honest dialogue we need. Keeping the love in it. Because all of us can change and be better. Let us never forget there was a gangster named Malcolm Little. He was on the corner, pimping the sisters in a way that he ought to be ashamed of himself. And he went to a sale, and he encountered a love from an Honorable Elijah Muhammad. Transformed that little Negro, red-headed Negro into a full-fledged freedom fighter called him Malcolm X. And lo and behold, nobody gave up on that Malcolm Little in such a way that he would have impact even on Christians like myself, who might not be into Muhammad as much as he is, but that's all right when it comes to the black community unified, because we're still talking about the love and the justice and the fairness. And I can always see the love in Brother Malcolm's soul and in his language, even if I didn't agree with everything. That's the transformation. And if Malcolm can change, as big a gangster as he was when he was Malcolm Little, then all of us can change. That's the best of black history. Thank you all so very much.